Hello, everybody. It is Monday, February 19th, 2024. Welcome to episode 78 of the Old Mage MTG podcast. Today is a big day for the old mages. Today is the day that we dip our toes into the world of new frame Magic the Gathering for the first time. This is the whole reason we've been talking about the Ice Age block, really. We went Ice Age, Homelands, Alliances, all to lead up to the set that Wizards of the Coast retroactively introduced into the Ice Age block. That is our main topic for today, that set. What is that set? It is Coldsnap. So we're going to start with a little bit of background on the set, and then we're going to dig into some of the commons that piqued our interest. And finally, we're going to finish up the show with the Commander Corner. We both have a couple more cards to add to our 2024 Old Frame Commander decks. They're coming along nicely, if I do say so myself. Before we jump into today's topics, I have some requests for you, the listener, the loyal listener. One, if you haven't already, click that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, please. Next time you have cardboard or cardboard accessories to purchase on TCG Player, please do so via our affiliate link. A few people have used that already. Thank you very much. Highly appreciated. We also have a Buy Me a Coffee, buymeacoffee.com, Old Mage MTG. If you want to throw us a couple bucks there, that's nice too. We don't offer any extras yet, but maybe someday. I kind of like the idea of just like making whatever we're going to make and then we just put it out for free here on YouTube. So you don't have to pay anything. If you want to, if you just have like $1 or $2, you don't know what to do with, you really want to give it to us on Buy Me a Coffee, that's great, but you don't have to. We're putting out everything for free right now. So now that that's out of the way, let's get into the main topic for today, Coldsnap. We got some background on Coldsnap. I wanted to start just by going over the basics because I didn't know anything about this set at all until we first talked about the potential of discussing it on the podcast. So this is really a new set for us. It's just like Wizards of the Coast released a new set and we're going through it for the first time. This one just happens to be 20 years old.
But it's still kind of for us.
It's still kind of for us. Yeah. So this was we talked about this before, but this is a great way, I think, for us to dip our toes into new frame Magic the Gathering, into modern Magic, because it's got that old flavor.
Yeah. It's like
it's got those old themes. What'd you say?
It's like training wheels for us.
Exactly. So Coldsnap is the 39th Magic the Gathering expansion set. It contains 155 black bordered cards. There's 60 commons, 55 uncommons, 40 rares. It was released in July 2006. That was 10 years after Alliances. Despite that, it's referred to by Wizards of the Coast as the third and final set in the Ice Age block. It replaces Homelands officially on the books in that block. I believe this is the first and the last time they've ever retroactively altered a block.
As far as I know, yeah.
Because it was designed as a component of the Ice Age block, they brought back certain old Ice Age Alliances era mechanics for the set. So there are a couple excellent mechanics from Ice Age that they brought back. Those excellent mechanics being cantrips and the pitch spells. We've talked about how we both really enjoy the introduction of those mechanics into Magic. We have episodes where we went through all of the pre-modern legal cantrips. That was like a 2-part episode. And we've gone over the pitch spells too. So they brought those back. They introduced new cantrips and new pitch spells in Coldsnap. Taking a sip of beverage. There's also a terrible mechanic, Alex, an absolutely terrible mechanic from Ice Age that makes a comeback.
Is it snow?
It's cumulative upkeep.
Oh.
Terrible. It was terrible in Ice Age. It remains terrible in Coldsnap, in my opinion. And there's a theme that made a comeback. Which one is that, Alex? You just said it.
Snow.
So snow covered becomes snow in Coldsnap. We talked
I don't
about
hate that, by the way. I just think it was like, under supported.
exactly. So we talked in our Ice Age episodes about how snow was boring because they didn't go far enough with it.
Yeah, there was almost like nothing to do with it in Ice Age. There just weren't enough cards that, you know, had it and affected it.
Well, they recognized that. The designers took that into account. They went full on with snow in Coldsnap. So I appreciate that. But I'm also now seeing, going through all these cards, I'm now seeing the downside to that as
Hmm.
well. Because when you have too many cards that revolve around a theme that's very specific to a particular set, then they're not going to see much play when those sets rotate out and new sets
Right,
come in.
right.
They're not going to get carried over. If you have to pay snow mana to activate all sorts of things on your cards, how many people are going to be playing Cold Snap cards years later? Not many. So there is a downside to that, but I do like the fact that they brought snow back and they went hard on snow here. We're going to take a look at some of these snow cards later in the episode. There are also a couple new keyword abilities introduced into Cold Snap, things I've never seen before, things I know nothing about. So I want to go over them briefly. The first one I came across is Ripple. Ripple is a keyword ability introduced in Cold Snap. It is a triggered ability that first appeared in Cold Snap. It so far has appeared on two instants, a sorcery, an aura, and a creature, as well as being given to all spells you control by the artifact Thrumming Stone. So before I go into Ripple more here, I wanted to take a quick detour. I read this introductory paragraph to Ripple, Thrumming Stone. It made me want to look to see exactly what Thrumming Stone did. I pulled it up on MTG stocks. And before I even read the card, I was like, holy shit, look at this price action. So this went up quite a bit for a number of years. It was $50 in mid 2022 and then just absolutely collapsed. It lost almost all of its value when it was reprinted in Double Masters 2022. So if you ever wanted your Thrumming Stones, you can buy your Thrumming Stones now for like $3.50. Current market price of $3.73. What does it do? It's five colorless. It's a legendary artifact. Spells you control have Ripple 4. So it gives all spells you control Ripple 4. Now, before you decide whether or not you want to play Thrumming Stone in your deck, you probably have to know what the hell Ripple 4 means. The description of Ripple on MTG Wiki is when a player casts a spell with Ripple, the triggered ability allows the player to reveal a given number of cards from the top of their library. So Ripple 4, you would reveal 4 cards from the top of your library and cast all cards that were revealed this way with the same name as the spell without paying their mana cost. The rest of the cards are then put on the bottom of that player's library. So far, all the cards with Ripple have a Ripple value of 4, but if the mechanic was revisited in future sets, this could be altered. The mechanic was a gimmick based off the fact that the Cold Snap was intended to be a triple small set draft experience. With the higher density of repeated commons, with the transition to all large set expansions and its uselessness in Commander, its odds of returning are slim. So yeah, you can see why you want to have anything like this in Commander, which is a singleton format. And they do definitely print cards, very much with Commander in mind these days, even though it's not an official Wizards of the Coast format. So who knows if we'll ever see anything like this again. There might be mechanics similar to this that came after Ripple that I'm just not aware of. I have heard the word Cascade. Don't know exactly what Cascade means yet. We will figure that out at some point in the
We
future.
have talked about that before.
But I can't remember exactly what it does. I think it's similar. You cast a spell, Cascade, you look at a certain number of cards on your deck, and then you decide what you want to do with them. Or maybe you just start flipping over cards until you see something. Are you looking it up right now, Alex?
May as well instead of speculating on it. We talked about it and I can't remember too well. But let's see. Uh, when you cast a spell with Cascade, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card whose mana value is less than the cascading spell. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, it
So
is a
it's
similar functioning thing, but uh, it's just about mana value being less, which makes it a lot more versatile.
yeah, as opposed to a certain number of cards
So
that are defined on the card itself, like
going
Ripple's
back,
always
so
four.
the way like Thrumming Stone works then is with Ripple 4, it only lets you put another Thrumming Stone into play, right?
Well, what no, with Thrumming
Or
Stone,
spells you control
yeah,
have Ripple 4.
yeah.
Okay, 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 okay. So then
So
any spell I cast, I'd flip over the next four cards, and if it was a duplicate of that spell, I can cast it for free.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Playgrat deck.
exactly that type of thing. And I like Ripple because unlike what you just described with Cascade, you don't have to exile the cards that you that don't have the same name. They just go back on the bottom of your library.
Yeah,
So
true,
you're not losing them. That's a benefit, certainly in some cases.
true.
But that is Ripple. We're going to see the Ripple mechanic as we talk about some of these Coldsnap cards. We're learning it now. There's a
I,
cycle of cards in Coldsnap that have the Ripple mechanic.
by the way, all I can think of when I hear this is all I can think of is Ripple the malt liquor.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember that?
I never drank it. You probably did,
Neither did
Alex.
I.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
aware of it.
You never played Edward 40 hands with Ripple?
No.
Okay.
It was apparently featured in Sanford and Son.
I what is in Ripple? I don't know anything about it. Is it a
Ripple is
malt
like
liquor?
a fruit flavored malt liquor.
That's not my jam.
No.
Get yourself a cold Ripple and a Swisher Sweet. You're living the life,
Ripple
man.
was a fortified wine produced by E&J Gallo Winery as a low-end fortified wine, popular in the U.S., particularly in the 1970s. Relatively low 11% alcohol. It was originally marketed to casual drinkers. Due to its low price, it had a reputation as a drink for alcoholics
Alcoholics.
and the
Yeah, yeah,
destitute.
okay. That's the kind of market you want to get into when you're selling drugs, I guess. Well, I mentioned that there's a cycle of cards in Cold Snap that have the Ripple mechanic. Since we're just talking about the Ripple mechanic, and since this cycle is all commons, and since we're talking about commons today, I just want to go through the whole cycle right now. The cycle of Ripple cards.
Ripple Commons?
It's called the Surging spells. There's 5 of them,
Okay.
one for each color. Each of these common spells has the Ripple ability. So the first one is Surging Sentinels. This is the white Surging spell. Surging Sentinels is 2 colorless, 1 white, a 2/1 human soldier creature. It has first strike, and it has Ripple 4. So here you're rippling out soldiers. This is a good Ripple card for a white weenie deck. Good for the color. I'm glad I'm when there's a cycle, I'm just happy when the white card isn't some lousy life game ability. If it's anything other
Yeah.
than that, I'm
Yeah.
excited.
If it's something with like first strike, it's like nice.
The blue surging spell, surging either. That's Aether, pronounced either, as we've discussed in multiple episodes of the Old Mage MTG podcast. Sometimes we still screw up and say either, but I believe that it's either. Somebody tell us if we're wrong. Surging either, 3 colorless, 1 blue, instant. Ripple 4. Return target permanent to its owner's hand. So it's a rippling boomerang. I've seen this card before. I love the art on this
The
card.
art's wacky,
It's
yeah.
so vibrant.
It looks kind of like a stained glass window.
Yeah. Just getting like blasted back into another dimension. Surged back through the ether. Uh I also love how much text is on these cards when they introduce a new mechanic. They have to describe it in every single card.
Yeah.
There's like 3 additional sentences. Surging ether, so a rippled boomerang essentially. Target permanent. Yes. Uh, the black one, also incredible art. This is one thing I will say about Cold Snap going looking through all the cards. There's some really cool art. in some of the Coldsnap cards. Really cool art. The black one, Surging Dementia, one colorless, one black sorcery, ripple 4. Target player discards a card.
I assume at random.
I actually don't know. When it
I
says
think when
just
it
discards a
doesn't,
card and it doesn't specify, I'm
yeah, I
not
think
sure.
when it doesn't specify, it's at random.
That's a terrifying image. Ah,
It doesn't say on here, so I'm not sure.
are you looking at Gatherer? Doesn't
Yeah,
specify.
yeah, it doesn't say.
So that's Surging Dementia. If you ordered your deck and you had multiple Searching Dementias all in a row, you could, at a maximum, have them discard 4 cards for 2 mana. But you would have to line up all Surging Dementias at the top of your
Yeah.
deck.
Maybe I have that backwards. Maybe if it doesn't specify, they get to choose. Now I have no idea. I don't
I'm not
know.
sure.
I'll have to look that up.
The red Surging spell is Surging Flame. One colorless, one red. Instant, ripple 4. Surging Flame deals 2 damage to target creature or player.
Okay. I like this one a little more than the last one. It also is very Ice Agey art.
Can't get it to load right now. Okay. Oh yeah, look, there's ice. That's dangerous what he's doing right now. He's generating all this fire. He's blasting fire out of his hand, and he's on a little overhang, a
A little
precipice
ice
of ice.
platform.
You
Yeah.
could melt that, dude.
Yeah.
Settle down. Surging Might. Of course, this is going to be a plus given to a creature. 2 colorless, 1 green. Enchantment. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2. Ripple 4.
Oh, that sucks, right?
I don't like it as much because it's 3 mana.
I don't want
It's
to get
th
ahead of myself, but I feel like that sucks.
it's 3 mana. I don't feel like I love any of these because you got to go through too much to order your deck. And the effects that you get aren't big enough in my mind to have to go through the trouble of ordering the cards in your deck and then casting the spell.
Yeah.
But I like the idea. I like the mechanic. I like the introduction of Ripple. The other new mechanic that I saw when I was going over Coldsnap for the first time is Recover. Recover is a keyword ability debuted in Coldsnap. It allows a player to return cards with the ability to their hand by paying the card's recover cost when a creature next goes into their graveyard from the battlefield. However, if they do not pay the recover cost, then that card is instead exiled.
Okay.
When I read this, it sounded to me like an early version of Flashback. It goes to your great, like you can play cards with Flashback from your graveyard for their Flashback cost. This is something you can play uh, from your graveyard for their recover cost, but the window in which you can do that is limited. You have to do it the next time a creature goes to the graveyard
Yeah,
from the
so it's kind
battlefield.
of like buyback and flashback mixed together.
I don't remember exactly what buyback.
Buyback allows you to pay extra and put it back into your hand,
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay.
but only right then when you play it.
Yeah. It says it was inspired by the graveyard order card Death Spark from Ice Age, which is another early card that we saw
I
that you can
remember that, yeah.
play. You can play from your graveyard. Death Spark, you have to have a creature directly above it. So Death Spark I like even more because you can do that multiple times with Death Spark.
Hmm.
With Recover, you get your one shot to do it. Interesting. Early iteration of Flashback, less powerful than Flashback.
Interesting though, if like, you're thinking about facing a lot of exiling mechanics, like if you know your opponent's gonna be playing Swords to Plowshares and other things that exile your stuff, uh, then that ability becomes a little bit better.
Let me think about that for a second. So if somebody swords to plowshares your creature, and it goes to exile, it's not going to go to your graveyard. So you're not going to get to cast recover, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah, it has
Yeah.
to go to your graveyard.
Yeah, it has to go to the graveyard first.
So
Okay.
the swords to plowshares would be, but I understand creature removal. If you're going to be facing a creature removal in general that doesn't exile.
I was thinking of it in terms of like, it makes all of your creatures get exiled when they get destroyed. So it's kind of like Swords to Plowshares isn't as good anymore because everything is getting, but yeah, it has to go to the graveyard first for it to happen. So I see.
We'll probably see some cards with recover as we're going through the commons, uncommons, and rares in Coldsnap over the next few episodes. I just wanted to show one example of a card that I found that has the recover mechanic.
Oh, okay. I was confused here a little bit because I thought the recover was like only on creatures. So,
No, no,
okay.
a spell has the recover mechanic. You can activate the spell, you can replay the spell for its recover cost anytime a creature goes to the graveyard.
So after you've cast this,
But it has to be done the
anytime a
first time a
creature
creature
goes
goes
to
to the
the
graveyard.
after you've cast this, anytime a creature goes to the graveyard.
I should say the first time. If you cast a spell, I'll just look at it. We'll just look at Icefall.
Okay.
Icefall is a common with recover. It is 2 colorless, 2 red sorcery. Destroy target land or artifact. Recover for 2. So you cast Icefall, you destroy a target land or artifact. It's now in your graveyard.
Or someone makes you discard it.
Yeah, because yeah, you're returning the card from your graveyard to your hand.
Yeah.
So, or somebody makes you discard it, or you discard it. You're on your own. You wanted to discard it. Let's say Ice falls in your graveyard. After it goes in your graveyard, the next time somebody puts a creature into your graveyard from play, you have the ability to pay 2 red to cast Icefall from your graveyard.
No, to return it from your hand, right?
Yes, okay. Yes, I should read the card. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. So Ice falls in your graveyard. The next time a creature is put into your graveyard from play, you can pay 2 red to put Icefall back into your hand.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It just seems so like conditional.
Very conditional and also mana intensive because, like you just pointed out, it doesn't allow you to replay the card for the recover cost. It just
Yeah,
allows you
you're
to bring
just
it back to your hand for the recover
yeah,
cost.
pulling it back. And yeah, it better be I don't know.
So we'll see if there are some more powerful spells with recover as a mechanic. For this particular spell, Icefall, not worth running,
No.
in my opinion. It does have a
It's
rating of
already
three.
more to cast than pillage.
Yeah, yeah, which is already in the same block. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does have a rating of 3.590 on Gatherer, which is higher than
Really?
I thought, but it has a market price of 25 cents. So, it's not like people are out there trying to pick up their ice falls.
I mean, if you're comfortable paying the 4 mana for the land destruction, which I assume is mostly what you'll be using it for, uh, maybe some artifact removal too. Uh, I guess being able to bring it back is still like good, you know. I just feel like I don't know, you're gonna play, why not just play like other land destruction spells instead? Because you have
Yes,
options. I don't know.
yes. And remember, Coldsnap is part of the Ice Age block now. We've talked about all the land destruction in Ice Age.
Yeah.
You have Stone Rain and Pillage already.
And some
Pillage not in
artifact
Ice Age, but
destruction
in the
too,
block.
right?
Yeah, yeah. You
Like,
have artifact destruction too. Yeah. So it's not like you're limited for land destruction in the Ice Age block, really. I like what they're doing though. They're trying a new mechanic.
mhm.
I see this and I think, oh, this must have been a precursor for Flashback, which is better, more powerful. So that's Icefall. That's a common with the recover mechanic. Now let's talk about some other commons. I want to just discuss some of the commons from this set that caught my eye. I'm going to pull them up on MTG stocks. I sorted them by current market price, Going through this list, I'm seeing lots of snow cards, lots of snow activated abilities. I will give them some props for building out the snow mechanic. I do like that, although it does, like I said, reduce their usefulness outside of the retconned Ice Age block or a Coldsnap limited format. First common I'm going to talk about is the most expensive common from Coldsnap. It is Boreal Druid. The most expensive common from Coldsnap happens to be a Manimal, aka a mana animal. It is one green, a snow creature, elf druid. It's 1/1. You can tap it to add one colorless to your mana pool. So what's the big deal about this? It's a Coldsnap Llanowar elf. It's a Coldsnap Finhorn elf. I'm sure there have probably been many elves printed in Magic the Gathering in sets that we haven't yet familiarized ourselves with that you can also tap for one mana. This was interesting because a colorless produced by a snow permanent is actually considered a snow mana. So because the Boreal Druid is a snow creature, which is a
Ah,
snow permanent, when you tap the Boreal Druid for one colorless, you're actually creating a snow mana, a
huh.
one colorless snow mana. So I thought that was pretty cool and might be why this is the most expensive common in the set. It's not particularly expensive. Its current market price is $2.84. But if you do want to build a snow deck and you want ramp in your snow deck, this gives you some ramp in your snow deck. Rating of 3.274 on Gather. First common from Coldsnap. Second common I wanted to discuss, which happens to be the second most expensive common in Coldsnap, actually tied for Boreal Druid. They both currently have market prices of $2.84. Second one I want to talk about is Rite of Flame. Rite of Flame is one red sorcery. You play this to add two red to your mana pool, then add one red to your mana pool for each card named Rite of Flame in each graveyard. Market price of $2.84. Rating on Gatherer 4.471. Very
This
high.
is this is great. I love this card. To me, it feels like a very old Magic card, like classic idea. You know, the mechanic is nothing like crazy that it fits in an old set. Um, this could be a card from Legends, or the Dark. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It feels very classic to me.
When I first saw this card, I thought something similar to you. Oh, nothing crazy here. It's some ramp in red. That's nice, but nothing crazy. It's a sorcery speed orcish lumberjack or something. I know it's not exactly the same, but some ramp in
Mhm.
red
Yeah,
that can benefit you but isn't necessarily broken. I looked on Scryfall. This card is actually banned in modern.
really.
Yeah, so we will have to figure this out over the course of the next few episodes when we're going through Coldsnap, but I look at this card and I think ramp, but not broken. Other people obviously found a way to break Rite of Flame. I can understand how it can get out of control, but I would think that it would require quite a bit of setup in order to make it out of control. Because you have to have the Rites of Flames in your graveyard. And I wonder what people build into. What were people
Yeah,
building into, at least? What do people build into with Rite of Flame in the modern card pool? I'm not entirely sure because we're not that familiar with the modern card pool. But it is currently banned in modern.
interesting.
Another thing about Rite of Flame is it is part of a cycle of cards called the Kindle spells. So let's go over the Kindle spells right now.
Okay.
They're all
So
similar. They
usually,
they all have some effect uh, that I think builds gets bigger if other cards of that type or
yeah.
of that name are in the graveyard.
Um, I mean that card's still really good even if it doesn't have other ones in the graveyard.
Yeah, it's a little bit of
Like
ramp.
I wonder if just that little bit of like ramp in red is enough to get it banned, even if there aren't more of them in the graveyard.
Let's say you don't have anything in your graveyard. One red for two red.
I mean, probably not. Like that's, but I mean, still, like in a color that, maybe relies on like that speed to do something really devastating right off the bat. You know,
You have to put down one mountain, tap it to play Rite of Flame, and now you have two red.
yeah.
So I mean, that's nice, but it's a very small amount of ramp. Definitely not enough to typically get a card banned. But for some reason, this card is banned. We'll have to figure that out. Kindle spells. Each of these common instant or sorcery spells become more powerful the more spells there are with the same name in all graveyards. The cycle is named after the card Kindle from Tempest, which I didn't remember. I remember the art.
I remember the name, but not the art.
Kindle from Tempest, one colorless, one red, instant. Kindle deals to target creature or player an amount of damage equal to 2 plus the number of Kindle cards in all graveyards. So that must have been the first time that they put this type of effect on a card, that it gets more powerful if there are cards with the same name in all graveyards. The white Kindle spell is Kelderon Warcry. One colorless, one white instant. Creatures you control get +X until end of turn, where X is 1 plus a number of cards named Kelderon Warcry in all graveyards.
Okay.
It's all right because it gives the pluses to all creatures you have. So it could be
Yeah.
useful for one final push in a white weenie deck.
Uh-huh. It'd be cool in like a Living Lands-esque deck where you can turn all your lands into
Oh, yeah.
creatures, pump them all. Or like there's a green druid card I was looking at that does that.
From Fallen Empires?
Yes. Thelonite Druid?
Felonite Druid. We talked about
Yeah,
it a
we
few
talked about
episodes
it.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah. It turns all your lands into 2/3 creatures. So
Yeah.
that'd be pretty cool.
Rune Snag is the blue Kindle spell. It's one colorless, one blue instant. Counter target spell unless its controller plays two colorless plus an additional two colorless for each card named Rune Snag in each graveyard. Let's say even without the Kindle mechanic, this is a pretty cool card. Rune
Uh-huh.
Snag ain't bad. Just on its own, Rune Snag ain't bad.
Hmm.
I think it's probably my favorite, other than Rite of Flame, which is obviously broken because it's been banned in Modern. I don't know what people do with it yet, but Rune Snag is just good. It's just a pretty good blue counterspell in this format. The black Kindle spell has absolutely psycho art, and it is called Feast of Flesh. That's also a psycho
Yes.
name. This is
Psycho.
for psycho people. It's
Brutal.
one black sorcery. Feast of Flesh deals X damage to target creature, and you gained X life, where X is 1 plus a number of cards named Feast of Flesh in all graveyards. I thought not
Okay.
that good, but
I'm
then also
mad it's
now
just creatures. It'd be great if it was creature or player.
now I'm looking at it, I'm like, there are a bunch of like very difficult 1/1s to deal with in just about every format. So, you know, if you're playing Coldsnap format, Ice Age block format, and there's some 1/1 that's a terror in that format, kind of like Goblin Lackey in pre-modern, this gives you a first turn option to clear it off the board.
Hmm.
So, not bad, actually.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. I definitely like take this in like a draft format,
Yeah,
I'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna steal that." Um yeah, and if I didn't have, I don't know, if I had like space to fill in a deck that like maybe I didn't have other cards for, or I was working with a limited pool, like this would I'd pop this in. That's what I'm trying to say. Blah,
it's
blah, blah.
terrifying art too. Terrifying.
There there's another card that's really similar to this, and I always forget the name. Um it does 2 damage to target creature and you gain the life. And I think it's black black to
Okay,
cast. It's from a late pre-modern set.
I don't know. It's not coming to
Um,
mind.
and I always forget what it's called. But yeah, then I'm kind of thinking of that card and I'm like, would I want to play this over that?
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
It would
It's
depend on the
faster to get rid of a
it,
1/1.
it would depend on the format.
Hmm.
What are the biggest pains in the ass in your format? Are they mostly 1/1s or 2/2s?
Yeah.
I feel like 1/1s can be the nastier ones. Like they tend to give 1/1s better effects because they're like, oh, it's a 1/1. There's lots of ways to get rid of it. But then if you
If
don't
you're
have the ways to get rid of it in your hand, then you're in trouble.
if you're dealing damage, uh, the fact that it's a 1/1 won't matter for the life gain on the other card. Because like if
Yeah.
you deal 2 damage to a 1/1 creature, I think you would still gain 2 life.
Yeah.
Because we talked about that with the card that has replaced Drain Life now, which I
Yeah.
forget the name of. Yeah. So that's a slight plus to that. It's still 2 mana though, which is worse.
Illustrated by Volkan Baga. I look at this art and I would think this would be illustrated by somebody named Volkan. Rite of Flame, we talked about already. Sound the Call is the green Kindle spell. 2 colorless, 1 green sorcery. Put 1/1 green wolf creature token into play with this creature gets +1/+1 for each card named Sound the Call in each graveyard. So, oh, it's all right. That's a token generator. Green doing what green does. I mentioned that I like the art a lot on a lot of the Coldsnap cards. I'm looking at the modern frame here in Coldsnap 2. I really do like the green frame. Like the green frame looks good to me. The cards in green looks good surrounded by this frame.
Yeah. Mhm.
Other frames I'm very underwhelmed by. Like the frames aren't really the same pattern. They're very different. Look at the blue frame. Don't like this. Makes everything look cheap and silly.
Cheap and silly.
I think so. I don't like the green frame. I mean, sorry, the blue frame. I don't like the red frame. I really like the green one. I feel like if they would go with this pattern with all the colors, it would look better. But those are the Kindle spells. Feast of Flesh, pretty cool. Rite of Flame, banned in Modern. Rune Snag, good counter spell on its own, even if you don't have any other Rune Snags in any graveyards. Kyoto Warcry and Sound of the Call, average white and green commons, in my opinion. Next
How
common,
does huh?
what are you going to say? What are you going to say?
What's the mana clash? What's the one blue, one colorless spell? Counter spell?
There is a mana clash, but I don't think that's a counter spell,
That's not
right?
it. Yeah,
And
I'm
it
I'm
might
saying the
even,
wrong name. I was just talking about this card the other day and I remembered the name and now I forget it.
I was going to say mana
Uh
clash might even be a red card, and it is a red card from the dark.
Nuts. Uh
I know it. I'm imagining it in my head.
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The one blue, one colorless counter spell.
Yeah.
How does that work? They have to pay unless they pay.
Is it from Weatherlight?
Sounds right. Mana leak?
Yes.
It's too many cards to remember, Steve. We're old,
We don't,
tired.
we're, we're
Counter
getting,
target spell unless its controller pays 3. Okay, so
strictly
you're
better.
probably going to play Mana Leak if you have the opportunity over the Coldsnap card.
It's from Stronghold, not Weatherlight.
Stronghold, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's a strictly better uh,
Not
Rune
strictly.
Snag. It's a strictly better, but not strictly, because
Yeah.
it's not better if you have Rune Snags in graveyards.
Right. Strictly better the first time you cast it,
Yeah.
not afterwards. But maybe you want 8 cards like this in your deck, and you put 4 of each. So
And this
if
was
you're
printed
playing,
after. This was printed after Stronghold, but it was printed with a pre-Stronghold power level in mind.
yeah,
So that's probably why they designed it the way they did.
yeah.
The next common from
Oh,
Coldsnap I wanted to talk about was actually a common. It's a name that I had heard before I had even looked into Coldsnap. I didn't know what it did, but I had heard this name. I,
Scred.
yeah, I believe this is I mean, this is a well-known
Is it
card
just
from
something
Coldsnap.
from Bill and Ted or Encino Man?
No, I just heard it because I heard people mention
Scred.
I heard people say the card scred. I heard people talk about the card scred. I've never heard the word in any other context.
I was just joking.
Okay. It is one red instant. Scred deals damage to target creature equal to the number of snow permanents you control.
Oh, sweet.
Market price to $2.20, rating of 4.072 on Gatherer. Totally unusable outside of a snow meta. Uh, but I can
But it's
understand.
within your own deck. You don't have to rely on your opponents to have them.
You don't have to rely on your opponents.
So if you build around it, you have a one mana big bomb.
I can see how this would be a menace in Coldsnap Limited because everybody's going to be running snow mana. Uh, Also, you could just make a snow deck in Modern, and this is actually what people do. Like you just
Yeah, that's
said,
what
you
I'm
just
saying.
make sure you have the cards.
Yeah.
You can build snow decks in Modern. People still build snow decks in Modern, and they still run Scred sometimes. If you do decide to make a snow deck, this is going to be toasting just about any creature you would want to deal with for one red. Just about.
Yeah.
I
I
mean, now if you're
forgot it
going
was just
crazy,
creature, or I didn't notice
yeah.
that.
No, it's just
But
creature.
so that's worse. But still, I mean, very mana efficient in the
Yeah,
right
you have a
deck.
very strong removal spell for one red.
Yeah. I like it.
That's Scred. Scred's dead, man. Next common.
Wait, I'm jumping in. The card I couldn't remember before was Vicious Hunger. 2 black sorcery. Vicious Hunger deals 2 damage to target creature, and you gain 2 life.
Vicious Hunger.
It is from
Visions? Nemesis.
Nemesis
This one.
and 8th edition.
Vicious Hunger deals 2 damage to target creature. You get 2 life. And it's just 2 black.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it has better art, but and then I remembered I love the art on the other one.
Hmm.
They both have really good art. The other one is more terrifying because this one's
Yeah.
terrifying, but it's also drawn in a slightly cartoonish manner.
Yes. And it looks a little more like that, though, the discard card we just looked at with the hand on the guy's head. Dementia.
Oh
Surge
yes,
of Dementia.
yes, that's
Yes.
one of the cards in that cycle.
Yeah. For some
Vicious
reason, the
Hunger.
art on this reminds me of Battletoads.
I don't remember any of the Battletoads art other than the toads themselves. Don't
Remember
remember any.
the evil lady villain? I think she like dressed like that guy does, you know, she had like a dominatrix costume thing on with like spiky.
Battletoads is a game that I'd be interested in going back to because I
You
don't know
were a
if other.
Battletoads master.
No, I wasn't. I was gonna
You were,
say
wow. Better than
I don't
me.
I don't know if anybody else has this experience with Battletoads, if this was a common experience with Battletoads, but I spent a lot of hours playing Battletoads. And there's that one level where you're
Yep.
like swinging down and kicking off the walls. Never ever could beat it. Never. And I just gave up eventually. I was like, this is unbeatable. They made a
Is that
game
the
that
one
is
though? I think you I'm thinking of the one where you're on the like the speeder car bike and you have to hop over all the gaps.
okay. I have a memory of that.
Yeah. That was really hard and you were better than me at that level. You could like you knew all the jumps at the right time.
But there was a level that you
Yeah, I
were
remember what you're talking about. Yeah, where
rappelling
you're like
down. I could
rappelling
never
down.
beat
Yeah.
it.
Huh.
I could get that far in Battletoads, and that was it. And I was like,
Mm.
this game is unbeatable. Nobody could beat this.
It's
It's
very
impossible.
I think it's funny you say that because I think that is a lot of other people's experiences that Battletoads is like a son of a bitch.
I should get on YouTube. There's definitely people like speed running
Oh yeah,
that
yeah,
level in
yeah. I've
Battletoads.
watched some of these videos, yeah.
Okay. I gave up. I don't like the games that are too easy to beat, but it makes me wonder how many kids could ever get past that level of
Right.
Battletoads
Well,
back in
and
the day.
that's
How
one of
many
those games where like you have a very limited number of lives slash continues, and then you just have to start over from the beginning, you know? There's no save point. You're just like
terrible,
you die a few times and you're like, oh shit, now I gotta spend an hour going through the whole game again.
terrible. I got other things to do. You want me in front of this computer all day, every day, trying to beat this one level in Battletoads? I'm gonna get diabetes.
That, that was how they made their limited game capacity work more back then.
Next common. Next common in Coldsnap. That's the end of the Battletoad segment.
I'm really excited that I baited you off topic with Battletoads.
Chilling Shade. Chilling Shade is two colorless, one black, 1/1 flyer. It's a snow creature. It is a shade. You can pay one snow mana. Chilling Shade gets +1/+1 until end of turn. That's what this is, Alex. This is a
Let's
snow
say
mana.
one. What is it? Just have a
It's
symbol?
just the symbol. Yeah, it's a
Uh,
snowflake. It's like a
so if it
circular
was
snowflake.
three, would they put that symbol three times?
I don't think so. They'd probably just say that. Oh yeah, if you had to pay three,
Yeah.
they might.
Okay. Just like
Maybe
it would
we'll.
be like green, green, green or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Think of this as like a red or
Yeah. Okay.
a fireball or a swamp or whatever.
A fireball.
Fireball. The mountain is it's like a fireball symbol. You know what I'm saying? One mountain, one swamp, one forest, one tree. It has a rating of 3.893 on Gatherer and a market price of 18 cents. There's nothing particularly special about this card. I just liked it. I thought I saw this and I was like, it's kind of like a flying Nantuko Shade. Nantuko Shade is a card
It's
from
a
Torment that we started playing with when we played pre-modern. It's two black, 1/1. You could pump it, but it
it's
doesn't
a
fly.
fro it's a frozen shade too, isn't it? What's frozen shade do?
Frozen Shade is zero. It has zero power off the bat, right?
Oh, okay. And it doesn't fly. Wouldn't what a loser.
So in a snow deck, this becomes a better Frozen Shade. Oh yeah, Frozen Shade is one of those cards that you think flies because of the image, but it doesn't fly.
The art on frozen shade is sweet though.
Yeah, but it's one of those cards.
Yeah.
In your head it's a flyer, and
Yes.
then you look at the card and you're like, this doesn't fly. I forgot about that. Frozen Shade, Whippoorwill, bunch of others probably should be errated to be flyers.
Hmm.
Chilling Shade, just a solid black creature. Next one. Next one I wanted to talk about is a common called Martyr of Sands. That is Martyr of Sands. Going back a little bit.
Sands like on the beach.
Sands. That is the type of sand that you find on the beach.
Okay.
It's down here on the list. I don't typically gravitate towards life gain, and this is a life gain card, but it seems quite good to me. It's one white, human cleric, 1/1. You pay one colorless, reveal X white cards from your hand, sacrifice Martyr of Sands. You gain 3 times X life. So this has the ability to generate pretty significant life gain for not a lot of mana. And especially in decks where you're drawing a lot of cards, where you can make your hand size big, which decks where you're drawing a lot of cards, I mean, that's already a great way to win Magic the Gathering. Often those type of decks are paired with something like Ivory Tower, so you can consistently gain life and stay ahead of like a burn deck or another deck that can do like a consistent amount of damage but can't totally overwhelm. It has a rating of 4.315 on Gatherer, current market price of 15 cents.
Hmm.
3 times X life. That's if you
Yeah.
just build up your hand size to 7.
My first thought was like, this is always going to be nine life. It's always going to be like, oh, I have three white cards in my hand. But not
Pretty
like you said,
much.
not necessarily. If you're playing a big hand size deck, a draw deck, it could get you 12 or 15 life pretty easy.
Pretty easy, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. It's very cheap, but it does have a high rating on Gatherer. It makes me think some people liked it at some point. This also belongs to a cycle of spells called the Martyrs. So I'm going to go over each one of these. Each of these common human creatures has an activated ability that requires you to pay a mana cost, reveal X cards of its color from your hand, sacrifice it for an effect based on the number of cards revealed.
Oh, okay.
So Martyr of Sands is the white martyr. In blue, we have Martyr of Frost.
I like that guy's outfit.
It's pretty cool.
He's
One
good.
blue,
Stick.
1/1 creature human wizard. Pay 2 colorless, reveal X blue cards from your hand, sacrifice Martyr of Frost to counter target spell unless its controller pays X. Not in love with this one.
Yeah, I don't like that you have to pay two. Like
I know.
you're paying as much as a counterspell.
It's a lot you have to do there.
And they have to be blue cards, so if
So
you're
you're going
playing
to be
what's
playing blue heavy
blue,
deck.
you
Yeah.
probably just have two blue mana.
There's too much you got to do there. So I'm liking this cycle so far. The blue one sucks and the white one's pretty good.
I like his outfit though.
I
I want
mean,
to dress like that guy for every day. I was
I
gonna
was going
say
to say
Halloween, but
Halloween and nobody
just
will know who
every
you
day.
are. Be like, I'm the Martyr of Frost. What are you talking about? Who is that? You don't know Martyr of Frost from the Martyr cycle and Coldsnap?
Wait, will it help if I blow pink dust in your
Yeah.
face?
Do you know me now? Martyr of Bones. Also,
Oh, he's blowing dust too.
1 black, 1/1 creature human wizard. Pay 1 colorless, reveal X black cards from your hand, sacrifice Martyr of Bones, remove up to X target cards in a single graveyard from the game. Not totally impressed. Too many other ways to do
Meh.
that.
I mean, Withered Wretch exists, and
Tormad's Crypt existed before this.
yeah.
0 mana. Martyr of Ashes. 1 red, 1/1 human shaman. Pay 2 colorless, reveal X red cards from your hand, sacrifice Martyr of Ashes. Martyr of Ashes deals X damage to each creature without flying. So kind of like an
Okay, so
earthquake.
as an earthquake effect, that's not bad.
We're getting a little bit better,
Yeah.
maybe. Sometimes it's better than an earthquake, sometimes it's worse. I think I might just rather have an earthquake, right? Because you have to pay the 2 colorless too.
Yeah.
I
But
don't
I
think.
mean, if you get this down, then you've like paid part of the cost, and so then later on you can earthquake for two colorless. So
Yeah.
that's not too bad. It's like playing ahead. I'd play it when I'm already playing earthquakes, and I'd play this in addition to it on top of it, probably.
How many times have you ever wanted 5 earthquakes though?
I don't know. In the uh
Somebody might have, but I never did. Uh,
in the Varchild's War Riders deck, you do.
yeah, and also I guess
Or
Ice Age block with Coldsnap. I don't think there
Gravity
is.
Sphere.
I don't think there is an earthquake. Also,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So in limited maybe
Yeah.
where you don't have earthquake available to you.
We're playing gravity, some kind of gravity sphere deck where you're like sucking everyone out of the air and you deal damage to everyone on the ground.
You could do that.
You can do
Could do
that.
that. I never wanted to play a gravity sphere, even though gravity sphere moat is pretty sick. But a lot of times you have a gravity sphere in your hand, it just does not do anything for you because they're just
Yep.
not playing flying creature.
Yeah, yeah.
Martyr of Spores. This one blows spores in your face for 1 green, 1/1 human shaman. Pay 1 colorless, reveal X green cards from your hand. Sacrifice Martyr of Spores. Target creature gets +1/+1 till end of turn.
Plus X till end of turn.
Plus X plus X. And
Okay,
just play
this one's okay.
just play giant growth. Just play 4 giant growths.
Yeah, but I mean, for starters, this can be bigger than a giant growth. You can give it +4, +4, +5, +5.
It can be.
Um,
I feel like a lot of times it's not going to be though.
yeah,
Especially if you're playing a green creature
yeah,
combat focused deck, a lot of times it's not going to be.
yeah. Okay,
It's all right. It's all right.
yeah, it's all right.
I just don't see myself playing it unless I'm drafting Coldsnap.
The problem is that it has the one colorless cost, so it's kind of like, oh, if I was playing a multicolored deck, like that would be cool, but it needs to be green cards in your hand. So then
Yeah.
that these guys kind of shoot themselves in the foot with their cards of the color in your hand ability sometimes.
So that's the martyr cycle. Uh, I think white got the best of the deal in this cycle, and I enjoy that for white. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm just like 3 times X, 3 times. It triples the effect. All these cards have effects based on the number of cards you have in your hand. This one triples that.
I
And they're
like it.
like,
My only question is if you're gonna play like a white life gain creature or damage prevention creature, uh, are there other options that are, just as good? Because I'm sure there are some white one drops that can help you like nullify all the damage from a single source or, you know, do something like that.
To you, damage to you though?
Yeah,
I mean, there's some I can't remember exactly. There's all
yeah,
those cards that move damage around, but I can't remember how many of them redirect damage done to you versus how many just redirect damage from one creature to another.
yeah,
Because
true,
there's
also
there's
true.
different ones.
Yeah. But no, no, I don't hate that. It's yeah, you could definitely, get a good chunk of life with it.
Yeah, that's the martyr cycle. We got a few more. We got a few more commons here that we want to go through. Next one is a blue common. It's also another one that's pretty underwhelming outside of a snow meta, but pretty cool inside of a snow meta. It's Rime Wind Task Mage.
I feel like I've heard of this.
One colorless, one blue, 1/2, power toughness, creature, human, wizard. You can pay one colorless and tap to tap or untap target permanent. Play this ability only if you control four or more snow permanents. So it has a rating of 3.197 on Gatherer, current market price of 26 cents. It's worthless in outside of a snow meta. But if you got snow, I like him. I like
Yeah,
that he's two toughness.
yeah,
So he's not going to be pinged by a lot of things. You can keep him around. And it works with any permanent. Tap
yeah.
or untap
Tap or untap
anything
is
on
nice.
your side or your opponent's side.
Yep,
So it can
very,
be a lockdown card. It could also be used to amplify something that you have that you could, use more than once.
very versatile.
And not bad at all. Not bad at all. But again, you got to be running snow lands. But this is Coldsnap, people. That's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about snow. Like I said in the intro, they went hard with the snow here.
Mhm.
And we criticized Ice Age for not going hard enough with the snow. So how are you going to criticize these people for going hard with the snow? You could. Maybe you just like to complain about everything. Like most Magic the Gathering players. We're here to bitch and moan about everything. But not about Squall Drifter. Squall Drifter is the next common I wanted to talk about that I thought was pretty cool. It's one colorless, one white snow creature elemental, 1/1 flying. You can pay one white, so not one snow, one white and tap. To tap target creature. Has a rating of 3.513 on Gatherer, current market price of 24 cents.
I think that's sweet.
It's just a strong little white 1/1. It has the ability of a whip quarter, which is a pre-modern card that I saw and liked very much and
Ah,
is pretty good for a white weenie deck because you can tap down your opponent's creatures.
I forgot
Uh, but
about
this
that
guy,
card.
but this guy flies. You know,
Yeah, very
Whipcord.
fair cost. 2 mana for a 1/1 flyer with a special ability that nullifies one of your opponent's creatures.
Yeah, I like it. Whipcorder has two toughness. This one has one toughness.
Okay. Is it the
So
same casting cost?
Whipcorder, I believe, is two white,
That's what I thought. I thought it was
two
multiple
white
white
instead of one
versus
white,
white.
one colorless. And I can't remember if it has the same it has the same activation cost. One
Okay.
one white tap to tap target creature.
Okay, but it's a 2/2.
It's a 2/2.
Yeah.
So for something like this, where I'm probably going to be using it mostly to tap down opponent's stuff, I do like the two toughness better than the flying because it can survive more removal spells, but it's still
Yeah.
cool. You don't
If
need to
I
use snow mana to activate it.
if it was like a Crusadery deck, maybe I'd go with the Squall Drifter because it would
Yeah,
be getting buffed and then it'd have like a, more survivable flyer.
yeah.
But I don't know. I have to think about that.
But I like that guy. Next common. I first saw this and I got excited, but then I thought about it a little bit more and I don't know that it's really that good. But it's pretty neat. It has sick art. It's Carplusen Wolverine. It's one red, a snow creature beast. It's 1/1. Whenever Carplusen Wolverine becomes blocked, you may have it deal one damage to target creature or player.
Oh, that's good.
3.885 on Gatherer, market price of 0.13. I see this and I automatically think Mog Fanatic. How does this stack up against Mog Fanatic? Mog Fanatic definitely seems better to me, right? Because you don't have to, Mog Fanatic doesn't have to be blocked in order for you to use its ability. So you have more control over when you can use it, what you want to do with it.
Yeah.
So I think this is like a limited Mog Fanatic. Somebody tell me if I'm not giving it enough credit. It's nice, but that ping ability you can't always use because they just might not block it.
Yeah.
They could just not block it. Great thing about a Mog Fanatic is you can use it to attack for one, or you could use it to push through one damage, or you can just use it to like pick off birds or elves early in the game, or to pick off particularly annoying 1/1s.
Yeah, you're never going to be able to kill their birds of paradise with this if they
Yeah.
don't block it.
Or your Squall Drifter, like we just talked about. You know,
Hmm.
Mog Fanatic, you can ping the Squall Drifter out of the sky whenever you felt like it.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I mean, not bad, but yeah, not as good as Mog Fanatic.
Next common, it's a unicorn. Ronom unicorn, Ronom unicorn, however you pronounce that. It is
Moron unicorn.
moron unicorn. That's rude. That is what they did there, didn't they? Why would they do that?
Look at him just standing in the wind. He doesn't know where to go. He's
Why
like,
would they do
"Brr."
that to a unicorn that has a pretty cool ability? Rude.
That is a good ability.
Yeah, one colorless, one white, a 2/2 creature unicorn. Sacrifice Ronom unicorn to destroy target enchantment. This is
Very,
like it's just a good card. It's a
yeah.
grizzly bear with a sick ass
People already
ability.
considered like two for a 2/2 to be decent, and then now you have destroy an enchantment. Great.
Good little card. There are other cards that came in later sets, or no, even earlier, sorry, earlier sets. We've seen that do this. There's an elf that's like 1/1 for one that you can sacrifice to get rid of an enchantment. Again, I like this. I like that this is a 2/2. It
Druid
survives more.
Lyrist.
I think that sounds right. You're putting it in your druid deck. It's on your druid list.
That's my first addition to my deck for Commander today.
So this is a 2/2 druid lyrist for one extra mana, and also it's also a unicorn, and it's in white instead of green. Has a rating of 4.149 on Gather, a market price of 11 cents. Very cheap addition to your unicorn deck.
I wish there was a pre-modern printing of this card. I would play it.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
I wonder
That's
if there's
about it.
something that does like the same thing.
I don't know. I've come across the elves. So I mean, there's the elf, or sorry,
But it's
druid,
not 2/2.
the druid, but it's not 2/2. Yeah. I was going to ask if you wanted it in white or if you wanted it with more toughness. That's about it for those are the commons that caught my eye in Coldsnap. There's definitely a lot more commons in Coldsnap, but these are the ones that I wanted to feature. These are the ones that I think are the strongest or the most interesting, except for one honorable mention. There's one more. Didn't quite make the list, but I'm giving it an honorable mention because he's a Yeti mutant and he looks like
Oh,
Cthulhu.
oh, this is right up my alley.
Drellnock, Drellnock, four colorless, one blue, Yeti mutant, 3/3. Whenever Drellnock becomes blocked, you may draw two cards.
Okay. Okay.
So he is just all right, but also he's a Yeti mutant with
Yeah,
a
that's what's
Cthulhu
cool.
face.
Yeah.
Adakar's blank wastes make the mind wander, and stray thoughts are quickly caught and devoured by the Drellnock.
Jeez. Trying to think what he looks like. He looks sort of like those Muppets, like the big hairy monster Muppets.
Yeah, I mean he looks like a Where the Wild Things Are uh
Yeah, yeah,
character.
yeah. And also there's a Marvel or Marvel Warner Brothers like Looney Tunes, like a big red furry monster.
That's not ringing a bell for me.
Mm.
Illustrated by Zoltan and Gabor. Two Hungarian potentially. Magic the Gathering artist, Gabor.
The Looney Tunes character's name is Gossamer for some reason.
That's the one that looks like this.
Yeah, but red. Gossamer from Looney Tunes.
You think I don't know how to spell
No, I'm
Gossamer?
just well, because it might have
Oh
been.
wait, did you say AR or ER?
That's
Because I
no, that's right. You have it.
okay.
You
Well, no, because I know how to spell
Oh,
Gossamer,
you
but I
think I
thought
don't know how to spell it?
I do know, but I thought you were giving me a different spelling. So I thought maybe it was different in the Looney Tunes universe.
Well, that's why I spelled it, because who knows? All bets are off.
I have no memory of this. This is very old
Yeah,
school,
I have no memory of this.
very old school Looney Tunes, maybe.
Yeah, he was always in like Bugs Bunny cartoons. I think he
Oh,
was like I don't know, alien or something
they
from
brought him back as
space.
part of the Toon Squad for the
Oh,
revamp of Space Jam,
yeah,
potentially. That's what I think
yeah,
I'm looking at here.
yeah. Yeah.
I did not watch the Space Jam with LeBron. I've never even seen the original Space Jam.
Neither have I.
Just never excited me. Okay. That's that's my intro to Coldsnap. That's my review of some of the Coldsnap commons that piqued my interest with that. We're going to move on to the last segment of the show, Commander Corner. The next few episodes will be featuring more cards from Coldsnap. We're going to go through the uncommons and then the rares. We got some pretty cool cards to discuss still. But for now, we're going to go back to building a deck a deck. A deck a deck is my 2024 old frame commander deck. It is an ATOG deck full of ATOGs and assorted 5-color good stuff spells. Still trying to think about exactly what direction I want to take this, but it is going to be more of an aggro deck. So far, I've added multiple ATOGs, original ATOG, Oratog, Foratog, Lithatog, Phantatog, Psychotog, and Thaumatog. Most of the ATOGs that are available to me. I believe I have 12 ATOGs that were ever printed. One is modern frame, so I might not use it. I have a Berserk and a Fling, Felwarstone Soul Ring for the ATOGs to eat, Rancor, Animate Dead. So far, I'm very proud of the addition of Cover of Darkness. It's an enchantment that some of my ATOGs can eat, but also it's a clan. It's a clan card. As Cover of Darkness comes into play, choose a creature type. I'm choosing ATOG. Nobody else is going to be running ATOGs. So I want to think of
You
more
hope.
enchant. I want to think of more enchantments like this that are like choose a creature type, creatures of this type get. Because when you're running ATOGs, you're usually not going to be coming across another ATOG deck most of the time.
Mhm.
It's going to be rare. I do have some cards to add today, but actually, before I add the cards, I want to talk about one thing. I talked the other day about using Berserk and Fling in the same attack. So the idea is attack with an ATOG, feed it a bunch of stuff, make it big, and then Berserk it to do even more damage to one opponent, and then fling that Berserk ATOG to potentially do 2 damage to a second opponent. My question was, is that legal? I think it is legal. We had a comment left on our last episode from somebody. Berserk now reads at the beginning of the next end step. Oh, no, sorry, that's not the comment. Let me read the comment. That's something that's just that's the errated. That's the current Oracle text. This is where we need music. We need background music for when I'm searching for things. I'm searching up a comment. Oh, I got the music playing in the background. Marcus says, by the way, your Berserk Fling idea will absolutely work. The end step is the end of turn. You could deal combat damage, and you still have the end of combat step in the second main phase before you lose your Berserk ATOG.
Oh, okay. So
So
I was seeing end step and thinking end of combat step, but I think they're saying end step is like end of turn. Is that right?
that's what I'm thinking because I was looking at the combat rules, and it's broken down into what they call phases. So
And now
combat
I
is
see
a
what you were talking about before. They referred as the ending phase and
yeah.
end phase and stuff. So it's like inconsistent.
And there's an attack phase, or there's a I know at least there's a declare blockers and there's a deal damage phase. So I think I can attack, cast my spells, deal the damage, and then fling the creature before the end of combat phase. Or sorry, at the end of combat phase. Let me say that again. I think I can attack, have the combat damage resolve, then fling the creature at the end of the combat phase. So that's my current understanding. I believe that I can do that. I could also look this up real quick. Uh, combat phase, MTG
The
wiki.
Well, I'm going to read this. The end step, often referred to as the end of turn and previously known to as the end of turn step, is the first step of the ending phase. It is usually the last opportunity for a player to perform any action before the next player's turn starts. So it's the first step of the ending phase, the end step.
First step of the ending phase.
Yeah.
And the ending phase comes after the combat phase because it's the end phase.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
here's what I was looking at when I was trying to decide whether or not I could do this. I went specifically to the combat phase wiki. And there's multiple steps in the combat phase. So the combat phase is the third phase in a turn and has 5 steps in this order. Beginning of combat step, declare attacker step, declare blocker step, combat damage step, end of combat step. So my current understanding is that I could attack and berserk and and then deal damage to the person I attacked in the combat damage step. So the damage is dealt, but then I still have the end of combat step to then fling it at somebody else. So I deal combat damage in the combat damage step, then I can cast fling at the end of combat step. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong, but this is the current understanding that I'm operating with. That make sense to you, Alex? Does
I
that
think
sound
so,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Problem is the end of combat step and end step, which are different things, and it's confusing,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
This says previously abilities that triggered at the beginning of the end step were printed with the trigger condition at end of turn. Cards that were printed with that text have received errata to say at the beginning of the end step or at the beginning of the next end step.
But
So that
not at
just
the
seems like they're just changing those cards, just change the way they're worded, but not how they worked.
how they function. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that end step is different than the end of combat step. I have the ability to cast an instant in the end of combat step. In this case, fling would be the instant. I believe.
I believe.
But now that that's out of the way, I'm going to get to my additions. I got some more creatures to add to a deck today. This week's additions to my Atagatog deck called Deck are Chronotog. I don't love this Tog, and I haven't added it yet, but I was like, I gotta add them. I need more Togs. That's what this deck is. It's a Tog deck. I'm gonna add Chronotog. And also, it's not bad. You gotta skip your next turn, but it does get +3/+3. And you could just do this when you're trying to push through the last bit of damage. Also, maybe there are some weird things that are going to happen in Commander where people are going to play some cards that do some things to me when it comes to my turn, and I don't want to deal with that. So maybe I could just skip my turn sometimes. Maybe sometimes
That's
it's
not
good to
bad.
skip your turn.
That's an interesting. Yeah.
It's probably rare. And if I
Yeah.
don't want to do that, I still have a 1/2 ATOG, whatever.
Yeah. You're probably only going to use it against like when you're down to one-on-one, like after two other people have been eliminated. Uh,
Yeah, I won't want to be skipping early turns, definitely.
yeah, but that's fine. I mean, and until then, it could in the early game it could be fodder for one of your other ATOGs.
Yeah. for my Atagatog.
Bring it back out of the graveyard late in the game to do its thing.
Next creature I'm adding, I found another old frame creature that I could add to this deck. It's not a Atog, but it looks good in an Atog clan deck. Mistform Ultimus, 3 colorless, 1 blue, 3/3. It is a illusion legend, but also Mistform Ultimus is every creature type. Mistform Ultimus may attack as though it weren't a wall. So it's literally every creature type. So it's going to be an ATOG. I'm going to have some additional cards in this deck that do things for all ATOGs. I haven't added them yet, but they will be here. Right now, when I lay out Cover of Darkness and I state ATOG, Mistform Ultimus is going to have Fear because it's every creature type, including ATOG. It might also just benefit from other cards that people are playing to
Yeah, if you're
give
playing
their
against
creatures.
like some goblin deck or whatever, you know.
It's going to be a goblin. It's going to be a druid. Uh, there will also be downsides to that too, because sometimes people can play spells that blow every creature of a
Right,
particular type off the board or something, or give,
right.
it's going to have to deal with engineered plague. If somebody plays engineered plague and names goblins, yeah, this is getting minuses.
I bet it'll help you more than hurt you though.
I think so. That's my hope. But for now, it's in there.
I think people do more things to boost a certain type of creatures than they do to hate on them.
I do too.
Yeah.
There is definitely creature hate, but
Yep.
most
There's some.
hate is color hate, not
Hmm.
necessarily creature. There's definitely creature type hate, but yeah, most
Yep.
hate cards are color hate, color hosers.
Right. I agree.
Last card I'm going to add today, another creature. I'm adding a clone. I can pick any of my ATOGs and I can clone whichever one I want to clone. Also, let's say I'm playing against people that have some particularly obnoxious creatures to deal with. Maybe I just want to pick one of their creatures and clone it. And I don't want to worry about my ATOGs. Maybe somebody has some crazy 8/8 fire breathing dragon out or something, and I
Yeah,
just want an
clone
8/8
is
fire breathing dragon.
pretty cool in Commander. It's a, we remember it from back in the day, and I had never thought of it like for its Commander use, but that's pretty cool.
I also bought an unlimited clone and I want to play it now. So here we go.
Yeah, that's nice.
The white bordered cards look bad next to black bordered cards in Moxfield because it just looks like they have no border.
Yeah.
But I can't put a beta. Don't have a beta. Okay, those are my additions, Alex. I
All right.
heard that you had some additions for Seaton's Power.
I have. I have additions. I have so many additions, I don't even know which ones to tell you today, Steve.
Close your eyes.
Okay.
The first three that pop in your head. That's what you're adding. You didn't need to close your eyes for that, but I told you to anyways. Commander, Alex, Seaton's Power, 2024. Mono green deck with this fella as your general.
He's a forest pony.
He's a
All right,
Centaur
since I
Druid
mentioned
legend.
it earlier, Druid Lyrist.
Druid Lyrist.
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 It looks like it should, again, I agree with you. It looks like it should be Lyrist, but it's a lyre, right? The instrument sounds like lyre.
It's a Lear.
It's a lyre. Okay. I'm with you. We can spearhead the charge into changing the way that word is pronounced.
Either or either.
So they're just an enchant removal, easy, simple, one drop druid.
Lyrist.
You hear that?
Yeah.
Lyrist.
I'm wrong.
I did the same thing earlier. I went and
You're
clicked on that
right.
lady. I
I
was like,
I know
say
you're
it
right.
for me, lady.
Yeah. Okay, Druid Lyrist,
Okay.
destroying enchantments. You destroy my enchantments, I'll gobble it up first. Fine. You want to destroy it? I'm eating it.
All right.
Even if it doesn't benefit me for that
Fine.
particular. I'm eating it.
Fine.
Not giving you the pleasure.
Let's see here. I want to put in a Wirewood Symbiote.
Oh man, you're gonna be tapping and untapping.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
like a ton of the cards in this deck are going to be tapping and untapping cards. So I'm going to have a lot of,
oh, tapping and untapping.
creatures that I can attack with and then untap them all to block or whatever.
People always tapping and untapping, bouncing, bouncing, tapping, untapping, then tap again, then bounce.
You got the bouncy tap.
The Grinch being infected by a parasitic brain insect. Can parasites? Yeah, okay, never mind.
They need some insects with fungal infections for magic cards. That'd be sweet. Like, have you ever
They've
seen
got to exist, right? They've
the
got
ants
to.
and wasps that get like
They've
colonized by a fungus and then it mind controls them? And
they've got to.
yeah.
So we got the symbiote, wirewood
Okay.
symbiote.
I have a lot more creatures to add, but I want to spread it out and not get myself, I don't want to paint myself into a corner and realize I haven't added cards from different categories,
Mm-hmm.
later on. So I want to try to
Mm-hmm.
spread it out with some uh, utility and some spells that do different things. So let's add a Sylvan Library.
Sylvan Library. This is a card that I want to explore a little bit more. We've talked about Sylvan Library.
I mean, I
Sylvan
don't know.
Libraries are showing up as threes of and fours of in pre-modern decks and
Oh
top
yeah,
tier pre-modern decks recently. This is kind of the one of the aftermaths of the land
land
tax
tax
ban. People
banning.
are thinking of new ways to generate card advantage, and
Yeah.
we're seeing people run 3 and 4 Sylvans. We're going to talk about one of the decks in the not too distant future.
So I mean, I don't know if this is like, uh, poor thinking on my part, but to me, it's like this is an auto include in a green mono green commander deck, right? Like I should just put it in.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. Yeah,
I don't know.
because
I don't see any reason not to.
it's just green good stuff. But we've talked also about how much benefit does this provide you after the first use.
Right.
Uh, well, we also talked about how commander you're starting with 40 life, so you could eat the life to get an extra card more often
And with
than you
multiple
could.
people doing things, there might be more shuffle effects happening, you know?
That was the next thing I was going to say. Yeah, with shuffle effects too. As long as you build some shuffle effects or there's shuffle effects occurring, I'm going to have one shuffle effect at least in my deck. Which version?
Oh, fourth edition, I guess.
Fourth edition.
I want it to be Legends, but I don't have one.
You could just pretend.
Yeah. I have some other cards I might have to pretend on, so I'll save it for them.
So we got 8 creatures so far, 1 enchantment. We got lots of elves
How about a
and a druid.
Vitalize? Can I
Vitalize.
get Vitalize?
Is it a leaf? Is it a 1 green leaf?
I don't think so.
No.
I will be adding Naturalize too, but for now I'm going to do Vitalize.
Untap. Oh my
Untap
God.
all
More
creatures I
untapping.
control. Baboosh.
So much tapping and untapping. Weatherlight Comet. Vitalize. After waking to the magic of Llanowar, no dreams can compare, says Miri of the Weatherlight.
Oh,
There she is right there.
oh yeah. I didn't even notice her. All right, one more real quick. I have to catch
Okay.
up to you. How about a Naturalize?
Natural. We got some removal in there. I got to start adding removal to my deck, both creature removal and artifact enchantment removal. There might be a naturalize appearing in my deck as well. What printing, Alex? Rivals of Ixalan? Cons of Tarkir? Maybe a Gate Crash naturalize?
Tarkir?
Maybe Shards of Alara naturalize. Probably the Onslaught
Yeah,
naturalize.
probably the Onslaught. There is a good art though that has like the plants growing out of the sword.
This sword is on. That's the same sword that's on that enchantment, the white-green enchantment.
Really?
Yeah, what's that white-green enchantment that gives creatures +1/+1 and doubles up your mana?
Is it a Mirari card?
I think so.
Mirari's Wake or
Mirari's Wake.
is it? Okay.
Yeah. I was just going to come here and type in Mirari and I knew it was going to pop up.
Sometimes I remember stuff.
Is that the sword of Mirari?
Oh,
That
wow. Look at
that looks like
that,
this.
Steve.
You think that's the same sword? It looks like the same sword,
Dude,
right?
yeah, you nailed that.
But I don't think there is a sword of Mirari. Like in Magic, there obviously I think there is
Wow.
in the mythology, in the story,
Uh-huh. But not a
but
card.
yeah, I don't think they ever made a card,
Wow,
which
good call on that, man. I
I
blew
fucking
my
nailed it.
mind.
I fucking nailed it.
I didn't remember that at all from that card. You were like, oh yeah, that's the same sword.
Well, I didn't think about it until right now. I've looked at Naturalized many times. Anywho,
That's the end.
your deck's coming along, my deck's coming along. Still got a lot more cards to add. It's going to be a while, people. We're all about the slow burn here on the Old Mage MTG podcast. And with that edition of Naturalize, episode 78 has come to an end. I got nothing left to say. Looking forward to getting into the uncommons next episode. Do you have anything you want to say to the viewers before we head out, Alex?
I don't think so. Thanks for tuning in.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
I ain't gonna do this anymore. That's all for me. Goodbye.